Russian ufology began in the late 1950s, spearheaded by engineer Yuri Fomin's lectures and articles at the Union Society for the Dissemination of Scientific and Political Knowledge, and those of Felix Zigel, a lecturer at the Moscow Aviation Institute. At that time, Soviet press only allowed articles debunking UFO phenomena, dismissing it as a fantasy characteristic of capitalist countries. However, the military maintained a hidden interest in unraveling its causes. At Zigel's insistence, the UFO Department of the Union Commission for Space Exploration of the Volunteer Society for Army, Aviation, and Navy Support, DOSAAF, was established in Moscow in 1967. It involved over 200 scientists, engineers, military representatives, and journalists, with Major General Porfiry Stolyarov as chief and Zigel as scientific advisor. On November 10, they invited the public to send reports via Central Television, which promptly arrived. Unfortunately, the same month, November 1967, authorities ordered the department's dissolution. Although the official existence of such an organization was denied, it is now believed to have gathered many UFO observation reports. It has been suggested that by the late 1970s, one-third of these reports lacked conventional explanations. Soon after, the USSR Academy of Sciences issued a resolution condemning UFO research. The main concern seemed to be military officials' fear that UFO observation publicity could lead to the disclosure of military secrets. Censorship not only banned articles about UFOs but even mentioning the term unidentified flying objects. The situation took an unexpected turn after the Petrozavodsk incident, the capital of the Karelian Autonomous Republic. In the early hours of September 20, 1977, a huge luminous jellyfish appeared in the sky, emitting numerous thin rays over the city. Due to censorship negligence, the incident made headlines in major Soviet publications. It is now known that the phenomenon coincided with the launch of the Cosmos 955 satellite from the Plesetsk base. Regardless, the case opened some doors. In 1978, a program was initiated, running for 13 years, requiring each of the 4 million Soviet military personnel to compile detailed UFO observation reports. Yuri Andropov played a significant role in this process, being highly interested in the UFO phenomenon. He headed the KGB from 1967 to 1982 and subsequently succeeded Leonid Brezhnev as the leader of the USSR from 1982 to 1984. The 1978 state plan included the program investigation of unidentified aerial and space phenomena, their possible origin, and their influence on equipment and personnel. The program was divided into SETCA-MO, Ministry of Defense Network, and SETCA-AN, Academy of Sciences Network. For this purpose, an important meeting was held on October 18, 1978, at the USSR Academy of Sciences, attended by researchers who later participated in these projects. In 1981, the research program names were changed to Galactica, MO and AN, and in 1986 to Horizont, with the same MO and AN. Shortly after the anti-Gorbachev coup attempt in 1991, these programs were discontinued. However, a group of experts from the Department of General Physics and Astronomy of the Russian Academy of Sciences allegedly continued to work on the subject until 1996, analyzing UFO reports. The participants in the inaugural meeting in 1978 represented various institutes or military units. The civilian program was centered on ISMERIN, the Institute of Terrestrial Magnetism, Ionosphere, and Radio Wave Propagation of the USSR Academy of Sciences. Yuliy Platov from this institute became the head of the civilian program. From the military side, UFO research was to be coordinated by Yuri Vasilyevich Ivanov, the deputy chief of the General Staff of the Soviet Navy, who was also the chief of naval intelligence. A document elaborated during this first meeting shows that the Ministry of Defense was concerned that the UFO phenomenon could interfere with military activities, including space flights. Instructions for data collection were drafted in the Soviet Navy at the beginning of 1980. The instructions signed by Vice Admiral Vladimir Kristoforovich Sahakian specified that more serious UFO data should be telegraphed immediately to two military units, one in Mytishi, near Moscow, and the other in Leningrad. Serious data referred to cases with physical traces of the phenomenon, cases involving the death of a military member in contact with the phenomenon, and cases affecting equipment operation. The instructions were distributed through addresses sent from the Department of General Physics and Astronomy to various organizations and entities. The newspaper Nedelia published an appeal from the project leaders, advising those who had seen unusual phenomena to first try to eliminate all possible conventional explanations like astronomical phenomena or human-made objects. If there was no such explanation, then they were urged to provide a detailed description of the object and send the report to the Department of General Physics and Astronomy. In one of the early documents of SETCA-AN, it was decided to use the term abnormal atmospheric phenomena instead of UFO. Censorship on the term UFO was lifted only in 1989. Two research centers were established, one within the Ministry of Defense, accessing military observations, and the other subordinate to the Academy of Sciences, collecting data from research institutes, meteorological centers, and various publications. The research objectives were also different. The military focused on the influence of UFOs on equipment and personnel, as well as the possibility of utilizing UFO properties like radar invisibility and exceptional maneuverability. There was even suspicion that UFOs could be espionage tools. The Academy of Sciences was primarily interested in studying the physical nature of the phenomenon. These programs were reportedly requested by the Military-Industrial Commission, with the expectation that both research centers would exchange information. However, Vladimir Rubtsov, involved in these projects, is not convinced that the military provided civilian researchers with all available data. In the 5-year plan starting in 1981 and 1986, special programs dedicated to researching unidentified aerospace phenomena were included. In January 1980, the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of the USSR issued a regulation requiring the immediate reporting of any unexplainable, exotic, extraordinary phenomena, including UFO observations, with instructions on collection methods. From that moment, all Soviet military personnel, including those stationed abroad, knew that if they observed a UFO, they must report it in writing to their superiors. Over 13 years, 3,000 official reports were collected, covering about 400 individual events. While 90% of these reports could be explained by conventional causes such as rocket launches or high-altitude balloons, about 300 observations remained unexplained even after the most meticulous examination. It may not seem like much, but these were detailed reports from reliable sources, verified on-site by experienced officers, tasked with sending only truly important cases to the center. Retired Colonel Boris Sokolov, involved in this process since 1980, stated, "For 10 years, the Soviet Union became a gigantic UFO tracking post. Military personnel were interested in UFOs, including because of the belief that if they deciphered the secrets of UFOs, they could gain an edge over potential enemies by incorporating these technologies." At one point, around 1985, a report was compiled on all cases gathered from the territory of the USSR. About 70% of all observations received natural explanations from the perspective of classical science. Most cases were linked to aeronautical or rocket technology, space object launches, rocket parts, cosmic object re-entries, aviation disasters or natural disasters. Of the remaining 30%, half could be explained in multiple ways due to insufficient data and material evidence for a definitive conclusion. The general estimated that there remained a residual 10 to 15% of cases that could not be explained in any way. In most incidents, various configurations of lights were observed, but material objects were also seen, in the form of disks, cylinders, or something similar. The nature of these appearances could not be explained. Periodically, public interest intensified in such phenomena, prompting journalists from all over the world to ask the same questions repeatedly. According to retired General Nikolai Alexeyevich Sham, former vice president of the KGB's Presidium Committee, UFO documents from the former USSR were never secret. He illustrated this by tracing the paperwork. A citizen witnessed a luminous phenomenon and wrote a report, which was received by an officer at an institution or special department. The information was noted in a register and sent to the center, accompanied by a cover letter. There was no secrecy in these operations. According to ufologist Yuri Striganov, the academic commission did everything in its power to demonstrate that UFOs did not exist. At most, they were mistaken observations of rocket launches or, eventually, ball lightning. Thus, this commission served as a smokescreen to divert attention from serious military UFO investigations. However, despite nonchalant statements, anomalous phenomena sometimes led to radio communication failures or malfunctioning military equipment. There were also reports from military personnel, including senior officers, regarding strange activities of UFOs above Soviet ballistic missile bases or spaceports. On several occasions, surface-to-air missiles were even launched against unwelcome visitors. The military was less interested in scientific arguments, remaining open to the hypothesis that UFOs could be manifestations of extraterrestrial civilizations. But what concerned them the most was the impact of the phenomenon on military technology and personnel. On May 31, 2002, in the newspaper Komsomolskaya Pravda, Andrei Pavlov published a strange article based on an interview with Colonel Alexander Plaksin, referred to here as a military geophysicist. He was the liaison between the military program and the academic one, for the study of abnormal phenomena, from 1978 until 1991. Plaksin described the two Russian programs. The military commission never worked with civilian witnesses who saw UFOs or claimed to have been in contact with non-earthly entities, only being interested in official reports received from Soviet military units, reports containing measurements made with military technical equipment. For obvious reasons, he did not go into more detail. Plaksin estimated that 20% of the unidentified objects reported through these programs had physical consistency and properties that, with the laws of nature we know today, we cannot explain. The other UFO sightings would be natural plasma formations. Russian researchers have proven that when certain solar radiation streams penetrate the Earth's protective magnetic field, they can produce disturbances in equipment operation, as well as spectacular visual effects, which can be mistaken for UFOs. Plaksin claimed that in the 13 years he was involved in UFO research, he had no access to any tangible evidence that there were manifestations of extraterrestrial civilizations on our planet. However, he mentioned that due to military secrecy, he still cannot disclose everything he knows. The colonel did specify though, that there was no crashed UFO in Kazakhstan in 1978, there is no secret depot with UFO fragments in Mytishi, in the Moscow area, and no ultra-secret bunkers in the Novaya Zemlya archipelago, as some rumors claim. The military institute involved in abnormal phenomena programs collaborated with other institutes of the Academy of Sciences to create ultrasensitive equipment in studying the UFO phenomenon. These devices allowed for the estimation of UFO sizes, density, and speed. According to Plaksin, Soviet military researchers even came to be able to predict the appearance of UFO waves. The first comprehensive processing of collected data regarding the UFO phenomenon was done on the ES-1022 computers in the renowned scientific center Akademgorodok in Novosibirsk. The conception and analysis of the results belonged to the Mathematics Institute of the Siberian branch of the Soviet Academy of Sciences. The result was a 45-page report of graphs and formulas. However, in the end, it cannot be said what was gained through these programs. We've scratched the surface of Russia's involvement in researching unidentified aerial phenomena, but there's much more to uncover. Do you have any thoughts or insights on Russia's secret UAP research programs? Have you encountered any compelling stories or evidence related to UFO sightings in Russia? We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Your contributions are invaluable as we continue to explore the mysteries of UAP sightings and alien encounters in Russia in our next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on the latest episodes of UFO Chronicles. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep your eyes on the skies.